This is a video on the teardown of a 4.3 Vortec V6. I'm guessing out of a Blazer, not sure what it came out of, but I just wanted to put this out there and see if any of you boys and girls can see what is wrong with this picture. I've never come across this before, and I haven't tried to rotate the motor, but I'm fixing to see if I can rotate it just for kicks. See what happens. Might be interesting, but I'll let y'all put it in the comments what you think is wrong, and then we'll find out when I get this thing open. Good luck to me, right? This is a follow-up to the twisted piston that saves gas. As you can see, I don't know if you can see down in there, but it's a 4.3 GM V6. And the rod cap on number, which one is that? That's number 6. Is broken completely in two. The rod is bent, and the wrist pin has come, or is broken loose from the piston down in there. So I'll show a better picture of it once I get it all apart. Also, looks like this crank, the crank journal looks like it may be destroyed beyond use or beyond repair. So it looks like it's eat up down to more than 20 thousandths for sure. So once I get it out, I can check it and I'll know for sure. But it looks like I think the block is okay, but at least I hope that cylinder's okay. But the crank's definitely gone, and at least one rod. So I'll have it apart in another 30 minutes. Okay, this is the third video in this 4.3 teardown with the twisted piston. As you saw, there was some damage to the piston and the rods. Let me show you that first. So here's what we got. We got a piston that came off its wrist pin. It shattered, and the rod bent like crazy. I imagine it bent because it was hitting the bottom of the piston or something. But so obviously you can see the rod bent. Major damage here. Connecting rod cap broke off. Here's a piece of it right here. That's what's part. I think that's part of the cap on the other side, or it's at least part of it somewhere. It may be part of the piston. I'm not sure. Obviously major damage. So what's surprising though, with that much damage, that was cylinder number 6. What's really shocking or surprising to me is the bore's okay. The bore did not take a hit. I mean, it's rusted because I got to let it sit around, but there's no damage deep down in the bore. No knocks or wax or cracks or anything. So the bore survived. The bore's in good shape. Another positive takeaway from this, I'm not going to call it a nightmare, but this core that I bought that didn't turn out quite as I expected, is that the other 5 bearings were in reasonably good shape. Now they weren't great; they were starting to lose some of their lining, but they were still functional. They were still working. So what I take as a positive is that, I mean, obviously when this number 6 was going out and it went out in a major way, obviously the oil pressure had to be starting to drop, because when you lose a bearing, your oil pressure, your clearance goes away and your oil pressure drops. The other 5 bearings were holding up, and so that's a sign that, or to me, it's a positive take that these 4.3s bearings, they have a reputation for having bad bearings, but in this situation, I'm going to say that's not necessarily the case. If these were prone to spin rod bearings, I would have thought I would have had more than one damage due to lack of oil pressure. But I'll give you my opinion why there's not more damage. I think it's because this is a truck motor, and so a driver probably knew it had a knock on number 6, so he wasn't pushing it hard, and so he wasn't driving it, wasn't flooring it, wasn't riding it, probably more than highway speed at that. So that's why these bearings survive, in my opinion. If this was a boat and the owner was flying down the river at 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 RPM, I think the damage would have been much more severe. If you saw my other video on Mercury's owners, beware Mercury's owners, you'll see damage to number 3 and 4 rod bearing. And not only that, the main bearings are damaged on that engine too. So I think boats, once they start having a rod knock, they tend to destroy themselves much more severely, because the boats the owners tend to go down the river much faster, much higher load on the engines, which starts to take it out much faster. At least that's my opinion. So, but again, it still means that these bearings, or the 4.3 V6 bearings, can hold up when one of them's shot going out. And that's about as severe damage you can get, a broken rod and piston. And this thing, apparently the bearings kept on going. I was told this engine had a rod nut. Well, that was an understatement, so obviously. So I bought it based on the way it looked on the outside. Everything was with it and looked relatively clean. Had a little bit of water in it, but I knew the water wouldn't damage it that much, as long as it was full of water. That way it won't rust as bad. But the rust can be cleaned up. That's not a problem. So especially since these bores are going to be bored out. These cylinders are going to be bored out anyway. But it looks like I may have got a bad crank. I know at least one bad rod. I'm not going to use number 5 or number 6 rod. I wouldn't reuse those. The other rods look fine. The bearings and the rods look fine. So I've got a block, 2 cylinder heads, camshaft. Trying to think what else I got out of this core. Again, I'll check the crank. My hunch is it's too far gone, but I'm gonna check it with a caliper and see if it's more than 20,001. I think it is, so probably not salvageable. But I know that the intent of getting this motor was to get a block, because I know the owner, the person I bought this for, has got a cracked block and possibly cracked heads. So I got a block and 2 cylinder heads. They're Vortec heads, and so I got what I was looking for. I will say this: I was disappointed. These are Vortec heads. The casting number on these heads is the exact same casting number as Vortec heads with the roller rockers. As you can see, these are not roller rockers. These are ball and stud, ball joint and stud rockers. And I wanted the rollers, but apparently you get. I've done some research, and it's the year 2000 up where you get roller rockers, and the older ones still have the ball and the stamp ball and stud rocker on. So that's something you want to watch out for when you're buying cores. If you want the roller rockers, you got to get 2000. Get a 2000 up engine for the roller rockers. And I've also read that the roller rockers are worth about 5 to 8 horsepower on an engine. These are, instead of these, you want rollers, so you get 5 to 8 horsepower more. At least that's what I was told or read on the internet. So, all in all, I guess I wouldn't say it's a home run. I got second base with this motor, and got usable parts, but a little bit of a letdown that I didn't get a crank and a fully usable engine. So anyway, that's the tear down of a 4.3 V6, and now I'm going to try to find ways to scrounge up parts to put this back together. Thanks for watching.